Welcome back to another exciting episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. It is January 10th, 2022. It is my son Logan's 6th birthday, so happy birthday, Logan. I almost forgot what show it was because we're doing this pretty late at night. I got Lee Priest and Chris Aceto here with me today. And what's up, guys?
My son is going to be 18, Dave,
that's scary.
In a few days.
Yeah, but you got an 18-year-old and you got what, a 5-year-old?
No, a 3 and an 8-year-old who I went sledding with today. I sent you that video.
You did.
I sent you the video because the sled that we used was my mother's sled. From she gave it to me when she was like 10 years old. That's how old it looks.
It looks like her father probably welded it out of steel. That thing.
No, it's one of those wooden toboggans
ones with the rails on it.
No, it's the wooden ones, Lee. That with the, you see in like old-fashioned, old-time movies.
I had a flexible flyer. You remember those things?
Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Do they still make those things?
I don't know if they do. I used to remember the commercials for them.
But Dave's son is going to be 6. Yours is going to be 18. February, my daughter's going to be 30. So, Dave,
I sent you the video. You don't have to. The only reason I sent you the video is because my son said, make a movie of me, and he comes within 3 inches of the telephone pole at the base of the hill. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I didn't send it to my son. I can't. But that was my sled right there. I think they still make them.
Oh,
the old flexible, and that little wood piece in the front there. That's how you
steer it. That's how you steer it. Of course.
I bought.
Logan would be like, your son who living in Florida, be like, what is that? What do you do with that thing there?
Just
he doesn't even know on it. Although he was born in snow. You know what I bought him? Speaking of there's no snow down here, but I bought him this really cool thing. Hold on. I'll pull it up for you guys. It's called the Crazy. Cool
because you like it, or is it because you wanted it, or because you think he'll like
it?
He
saw it in one of his little YouTube videos he watches, and
I know what it's like. As your sons get older, you start buying them toys that you'll enjoy, but you say
I can't fit in it, but if I could, I would do it. Look at that thing. You can drift in that thing.
For yourself. That's for you, Dave. That's for you.
Yeah, you might fit in there, Lee, but I wouldn't fit in that thing.
What is that, Dave?
It's a go-kart, but it can drift. You can do drifts. You pull the thing up and it'll go sideways and stuff.
Lee, he got that because he would. That's it. He would love to have that. I would love to have that.
Well, they actually make an extra large one for adults now, but
you can go.
I don't do anything.
Dave on the show next week will have a broken arm because
I'm way smarter than that. I don't do stuff that's risky because I know that I'll get hurt. That's we went to a trampoline park today with the kids and I don't jump. I just take videos, funny videos. They try to they have these socks, these nonstick socks that you wear at these trampoline parks so you don't slide around, and my wife had brought a couple of pairs that there's 2 places. There's like a trampoline world or something like that, and then there's Defy is the other place. And so we went there and we were wearing 2 of the kids were wearing socks from the other place. And when we went to go out onto the trampoline area, they're like, "Oh, you can't wear those." I'm like,
"That's same as here."
Oh my God.
That's the same.
You can't wear it. It's like black.
Yeah, you can't wear it. It says flex. You can't wear it in the photo shoot. I said, "Are you kidding me? You're not gonna I just spent $50. You're not gonna let me go and the kids can't wear socks that have someone else's emblem on it?" She's like, "I can't let you out there." So we go back to the front desk.
Being the PDI.
Yeah. I go back to the front desk and I got the camera out. I'm filming, right, Chris? Because I'm ready to put up a video. And I say to the girl, "Are you going to tell me that my kids are not going to be able to go out onto the floor because they're wearing socks from the other trampoline place? Please don't tell me you're telling." Here, just take these 2 pair for free. I said, very good answer. I said, because this was this close to going up.
Yeah, 60 minutes. I work for 60 minutes.
Hold on, I think I did put it up on social media. Hold on.
Oh, did
yeah, but I kind of was nice about the whole thing because I put it on
you would even notice socks. God, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Dave,
people are so. I mean, literally, it was like $50, for them to jump for like an hour.
Of course.
So I'm like, they should be given they should just work the socks into the price, don't you think, Chris?
Yeah,
the socks are only like $2 or $3. Just charge an extra $2-3. I won't even know the difference. I'll just pay it.
Next time, wear a T-shirt in from the other place and see what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the socks are more important, like, because as if it's being broadcast on national television or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me see if I can put this thing
You were there secretly. Your kids were trying to.
Oh, look! I saw this at
people.
the Outback, whatever steakhouse. I don't know. I did. Oh, they don't.
Outback
Here already. I hate this. Here it is. Here it is. You see that? We're walking out there, and they wouldn't.
She's got Amanda's walk. Look at that, huh? It's like
the little one.
Huh?
That's Shayla. That's the little one. So we're going back to the front desk, and they said we couldn't wear the socks, right? I'm going crazy at this point. I'm filming it.
It looks like Amanda's on the angry mission. She's on the mission there.
No, she was like just wanted to get out there. She was.
What, those blue ones are illegal? Those little blue ones?
No, the blue ones were good.
So she can't jump in the trampoline park that we just paid like $50 for because she's got a pair of Sky Zone.
Sky Zone,
socks.
that's what it was.
How ridiculous is this? Talk about making money. This is nuts. All right, I made a big stink and they saw me filming on social media and they realized the wisdom of giving me free socks. So I did like Sky Zone socks.
Get me a pair, Dave.
And my wife, one of my daughters had on.
So I got the free socks. All right. Who's yelling? Is that your cats, Lee?
Yes,
I thought that was Shayla. I thought that was Shayla on the video.
I thought my kids were crying. And
I was like, I know you did. Dave was like, oh gosh, you're up.
I was like, oh shit. I'm like, how are they over here? I said, I'm in the office.
I've kidnapped the kids. They're out there.
Yeah. So what were we saying before that? I said save it for the show because it was such a good little conversation we were having.
We're talking about a Cpap machine.
Oh yeah. So Lee couldn't breathe. So he thought he was having a heart attack, and he went to the hospital 2 weeks ago. And so now you got
twice.
the CPAP.
Actually, went again last night because I woke up.
No, are you kidding me? You went back to the hospital again?
Yeah, because I was on the couch, right? I was falling asleep.
Like
I woke up like boom, and when I woke up, both my arms were numb, and I'm clammy because it's sort of hot, but I'm clammy. I'm like, and now my chest is bad because of the adrenaline. I'm like, shit, my chest, clammy arms, fucking heart attack. I said to the wife, call the ambulance. She goes,
call RX Muscle.
Call the ambulance. They're going to take you to the hospital. They're going to tell you it's okay. I said, I don't care. I can't mess around with this. I'm going. So the ambulance come, take me to the hospital.
Oh, you actually went in an ambulance? You didn't even let her drive you? Oh, my God.
She hasn't got a license. So I put her in there.
Oh, she didn't have a license?
I had to get an Uber home at like 1 a.m. with no shoes or anything on.
Hold on. You might be worse than Jimmy the Bull with the hospital. What? Except you're paying for it. He's got a free vet's hospital. What did that trip cost?
Medicare is free. I don't pay here.
Oh, you don't pay for the ambulance ride?
No. So we do that. My private health pays for that. So then I go to the hospital. They run all the tests again. They do the CT. They compare my other tests to last week. They said, no, it looks the same. They run the bloods to make sure you haven't had a mild heart attack. And they're thinking maybe it's the sleep apnea because the anxiety now with order. Every time I wake up, it's like I've been hit with a cattle prod. So for the last 4 days, I've had probably 3 hours sleep in 4 days. I feel like I'm drunk trying to drive a car. I'm like, Let
me give you my.
I feel every day with 4 kids.
Yeah, let me give you my wife's advice. This is what she tells me, and it works. When you think you're having a heart attack, because I also I've been known to profess that I'm having a heart attack too. She's like, drink a glass of wine, and if it goes away, then it's not a heart attack. So now whenever I feel like I'm getting a heart attack feeling, I drink a half a glass of wine. You don't even need a whole glass because I don't drink. And if I feel fine, which is always the case, I know I'm good. So,
well, why? What is the?
Because it relaxes you. That's all. In other words, a lot of times anxiety attacks are exact duplicates for heart attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Dave,
where?
No, the acid reflux. Remember, I don't know if you remember, probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago, I called Dave
Jimmy.
And said, "I am definitely Dave. I think instead of calling 911, I said, before I call 911, let me call Dave."
Yeah, they called me. And
I said, I have to be having a heart attack. And you told me it was acid reflux. I said, it feels like it's right in my heart. And you laughed and it said, You're not having a heart attack. It's acid reflux. And I went and got We had acid reflux pills for some reason here. Like, I don't know, when my father was here or something, was staying with us. And it
Another
went
thing
away.
that you've inherited from your father.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When I got into ambulance, they gave me 3 little nitroglycerine tablets to put under my tongue.
Oh, that's why you went. You wanted to get high from the nitroglycerin pills.
What's nitroglycerin
when
do,
they
Dave?
did the ECG in the ambulance, the ECG
actually
looked
did
at it, goes, "Oh shit, we might have to take him to somewhere else because the ECG thing looked so far out of whack." They're like, "Oh shit!" So the doctor calls back immediately. You take him to the hospital. Now I'm thinking, how far out of whack is this thing? But when they get to the hospital, they're like, "Oh no, it's the same as last time." So I'm saying, so my normal ECG is that far out of fucking whack, but it's normal compared to my other ones.
You had the cardiac CT scan, right?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, you were clear. What do you worry? You can't be having a heart
It's
attack.
been a year, Dave. Things can change, okay?
Oh my god!
Now I've got to sleep tonight like Darth Vader. I put it on to try it, and the fucking the air going up my nose. I'm thinking, I don't think I can fucking breathe with this on, because as I'm breathing in, I'm trying to breathe out. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be worse than.
You know what, Lee? But you bring up a good point. I mean, we're making a joke here, but truth be told, most bodybuilders that are over 250 pounds, and that's a lot of the guys, right? Most of the pros have some sort of sleep apnea. And for those who don't know, is what it means is when you're sleeping, you're actually stopped. You're almost holding your breath, and then all of a sudden you take a breath, like you suck in air. But the problem is every time that happens, you wake up. So even if you're not consciously waking up, where you don't remember it in the morning, some guys wake up like a million, 20 times a minute or something like that. So there's no way you can get a good night's sleep. Yeah, that's why you're falling asleep driving, to your mother's house.
This afternoon, before like 2 hours ago, I was on the couch. I'm like, you know what? It's hot. I'm going to put the air on and try taking a nap. I sort of dozed off. Then it was just like, and it's like, oh shit. Now I said, I'm actually scared to go to sleep because I hate that like rush of adrenaline. And then I get now I've got to get up and walk around. I've got to walk around the house. I'm fucking around going.
Are you heavier than normal, Lee?
And well, I did put on 10 kilos since Christmas.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the answer to your problem right there. Lose some weight. You won't need the Cpap machine.
Well, I borrowed it. I borrowed it for 2 weeks, so I'm gonna just use it for 2 weeks.
I tried. Do you have the nose piece, or is it the mask?
I got 2 different nose piece ones, and I got the one that goes over your nose and your mouth if you're a mouth breather.
Yeah, the nose one is supposed to be better because.
I got the nose one. I think I practiced with that one. Then once I got used to it, didn't think about it. It was okay, but sleeping's going to be different. You
practiced it with it while you were awake? You practiced your mandatories with it? I know a few bodybuilders can use one of those machines while they're posing on stage. They can barely breathe. Remember NASA?
Backstage.
NASA definitely had sleep apnea. There's no doubt about it. Oh, yes.
Remember the Olympia was at 98 at Madison Square Gardens. I think even some of the others. I remember when Flexnam used to come off backstage with the oxygen bottle. You see him back there.
No, he doesn't. Dave, listen, Lee. I told Dave once that Coleman and Wheeler were backstage with oxygen masks, and I forget what. And he said, "No way! I didn't know what show it was." So there you go.
Yeah.
Lee's bringing it up, right?
Alan Marashi.
As soon as they come off stage.
What from what? Hitting front doubles?
I think so. Just after the compulsion.
What do you think?
Come off from?
And you didn't need the oxygen.
No, I just looked at him going, "What the hell?" I'm thinking we're meant to be fit because I remember
who came up with the oxygen masks.
I think Flex just did it to be cool. To be honest, I don't think he really needed it. Some guy at the gym told him, "Hey, you should use oxygen. You'll have better endurance on stage."
No, I thought it was like Wayne and the paramedics or something.
No, I think they had their own. Because they were. Yeah,
no,
maybe they did have it backstage. Who knows?
Yeah, but they were on it. They
was
were
big
on it
into
back
the
then.
oxygen, right? The X-Man, Tony Freeman was always into oxygen.
Rachel's at work still, Don. Not too bad. Just doing a podcast. Yeah, Rachel had to work till 8 o'clock tonight.
They want to know if you ever thought about reaching out to Lee to coach him with Chris.
I was beyond help.
Before 97 debut.
No, because he didn't need any. I mean, I didn't reach out to anyone, because that's not what I did.
Did anyone ever suggest, Lee, that you go to Chris back in the day?
No, nobody. The only one who tried to come and coach me was Hani. And then, like I've said before, and Hani would get mad at me. He's like, what's your training like? He's like, okay, stick to that. How much cardio you do? And I told him 2 hours a day. And then Hani started giving everyone 2 hours a day because Hani used to train with me sometimes. and then he gave me this drug cycle. It was like 6 or 8 different drugs. And I said, I'm not doing that. So, and I put that in an interview once in MD, and Hani's like, you can't say that. I said, well, that's the only difference. I said, the only thing you wanted to change was how much drugs to take. Well, you can't say that. I said, well, what was the difference? And so, no, he never.
Yeah.
I was living with Mikey Blom then. I was getting ready for the 2000 Night of Champions. And even Mikey Blom's like, what the fuck? That's a lot of stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah, you probably would actually mesh well because Chris doesn't really have big cycles either. You wouldn't accuse Chris of cheating you, right? Chris, you would have to give him his money back because you're not giving him enough drugs, right?
No, he'd say, this is what I'm doing now. And I'd say, okay. And he'd say, well, I thought it would be more complex than this. Just like we were talking about before the show started.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but getting
That's
back
what
to
we're talking about. Yeah, we're talking about that before the show started, about the different cycles where people would want their money back. And I actually did a program for one guy, and when I wrote out his diet and drug cycle, he's like, that's it. I said, what do you mean that's it? He goes, well, you've been to America. You're over there all this time. I thought it'd be more scientific than that. I said, that's just basic. What do you want to know? I said, do you want your money back? No, keep the money. I'll do the show myself and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Isn't it weird how people get angry like when you don't tell them what they want to hear? Like, don't hire a coach because you have this preconception in your mind of what you think you want to take, and you want to hear that coach tell you to take it. If that's what you want to do, then do it yourself. You don't need the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
the coach is really not about the drugs. The coach is more about, how to manipulate the variables, whether it be diet, cardio, maybe some fat burners, add this or take away that. But I mean, if you want to take 5,000 milligrams of testosterone, then do it. Who cares? If that's what
I'm sure some do, because I'm sure there's some coaches that probably tell their clients take 400 tests, and the client's probably like, fuck it, I'm taking 8. So they probably do it anyway.
Right, because if Chris can get you in good shape, I mean, you taking an extra 1,000 milligrams of testosterone, you probably won't change very much, right, yeah. Chris? I mean, it is what it is. There's no way of knowing. You're not drug testing these guys to see what they're taking,
Well, I always said the only one who benefits from anyone doing large amount of cycles is if you're the guy selling them the gear, because you're making a fortune. But apart from that, you don't need it. I tell people all the time, and they'd say, you're lying. When I'd say I only take 400 a test or 500 milligrams of SUS 250, if it was the true SUS 250, I heard you take this, I heard you take that. I'm like, well, I'm the guy taking it. I should know what I'm taking.
Yeah.
I tell guys all the time, I'm like, I know guys like who have money and the guys who don't have money, because the guys who don't have money are complaining about they can't take vitamin C because they can't afford to buy the vitamin C, but yet they want to take like 6 IUs of GH. I'm like, why don't you take 2 IUs of GH a day? I said, and pay your mortgage with the other, the money that you would have paid for the other one. Oh, look who's joining us, Xavier Wills, another Aussie countryman there, Lee.
Oh, I can't hear the audio.
You can't hear us. We can hear you.
I might just log back in. It's not working.
All right.
The audio.
Yeah.
Typical Aussies, can't work nothing out.
These Aussies can't figure anything out. He probably just didn't turn his microphone on. But anyway, getting back to what we were just saying about drug cycles. Yeah, people get actually angry. I've had women. I tell the women all the time, I don't want to coach you because I'm not going to prescribe Trenbolone for you to take. I'm sorry. Not happening. I'm not the guy.
Who gets angry?
It's not going to happen.
Who gets angry, the men or the women, Dave? When you're with the cycles, who gets?
No, it's usually the men. But there's some women that they really want to take a lot of drugs, and they think, oh. I said, how much drugs do you need? I said, are you kidding me? You want to take as much as the guys take? I said, I have to talk sense into these women sometimes, But
speaking of guys and women and that, I see that swimmer's still making the news over there in America, that one that's breaking all the records.
Oh, it's just, I haven't even been following the story, to tell you the truth.
She was the transgender swimmer?
Yeah.
She was beat by another transgender. Did you
see that
today's news?
What?
Yes.
Oh, I
she was
didn't know
beat by
that.
another transgender.
I didn't know that.
It was in like on the Newswire today. It was on CNN, and watch people say, Aceto only watches CNN. It was on CNN.
I am
I
waiting.
didn't see that one because I saw the last one I saw. She'd won by the 38 seconds, and then there were some girls at the school who didn't like it. Now the girls are too scared to speak out because they're being labelled transphobic if they speak out against it. So
I'm waiting to see. It will happen. There's going to be a guy who wants to compete in women's bodybuilding or physique. I'm just waiting for it. I don't think it will really affect anything, to be honest with you. But you never know. You could get a good
don't ruin my master plan, Dave. Don't ruin my master plan.
Yeah, you're too old. You're too old. I hate you. You're too old, Lee. But I'm just saying, there's going to be there's going to be a guy who looks very feminine, who's going to come in with a lot of mass, a good structure. Aceto's going to train him or her, whatever, and there's going to be all kinds of controversy. It'll happen. It's bound to happen. I got news to you. It might happen in wellness.
New division, Dave, and new pro cards. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Transgender division. Why not? The IFBB.
I can't hear anything.
What's the problem? You can't hear us, Lee? Is Lee having a problem?
Lee may be having problems like Xavier.
I'm like, I can't hear no.
You can't hear us, Lee?
It's Australia that locked down the internet, Dave, due to the COVID.
You want to try to leave and come back? I'll kick him out. Just you and I, Chris. People like that.
Just me and you. It's Australia. They shut down the
I
internet.
think they should. Yeah. Hold on. Superman's coming back. Here he comes. Can you hear us now?
He fell asleep.
Nope. He changed his mind. I want to talk about Nick Walker and Carlos Thomas. You see that picture of them? That freaky picture of them together?
No. So
I'm gonna pull
post
it
it
up.
up.
Yeah. Where is that? I think it's on ours. Here it is. Good shot, right?
Yeah. Look, I just say yeah because I know they're going to look big even without my glasses. Yeah.
Let's see. Lee, can you hear us?
Yes, I can now. I must have caught Xavier's.
Yeah, I think Australia is having problems over there today.
We won't let Dokovic in. That's what's going on. Screw him. They said, who has arms like this? Xavier. I think the question on that post said, who has arms like this? I said, I do.
Can you hear us now, Xavier?
Yes, I can hear you good now. I actually opened up Safari and it said audio may be stuttering or something like that on this version. So opened it up and you were just like a robot. So
okay,
good now.
What do you think of that picture, Xavier, of Nick Walker and Carlos Thomas?
Man, these guys are like a total freaks. Like Carlos, like he looks like he added like 5 to 10 pounds or probably 10 to 15 pounds after the comp. Like he looks ridiculous. And Nick Walker's just like Nick's like, he has to be a guy that's contending for that top three. I mean, if he's contending for the top three, like Hardy came third in the last Olympia, and some people considered him to maybe potentially be the winner. So it's like if he's pushing for top three, he's really pushing for a chance to win the title, in my opinion, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, Xavier has the YouTube channel Desktop Bodybuilding. So if you want to,
and it has the Lee Priest interview part 1 and 2 that was out and recorded back in 1997.
Oh, really?
we got it out though.
We got it out.
That's good to know.
That was good. People loved that interview, Lee. Like the feedback was awesome. So
when did you do the interview?
It was around, I think, Arnold time. So like September or something. So yeah, I took ages to get it out.
Okay, so it wasn't too long.
September, October.
Yes. Yeah,
my question
people like
is
the rawness of it.
Yeah.
Lee, you raw. How could I don't believe it. Listen to this. First of all, Carlos Thomas is like Akeem. I've never seen anyone grow as quickly as him. So it doesn't surprise me that he had a great rebound after the Nationals. I mean, he's probably I don't know, but he's probably 260. Wouldn't you say, Chris? Maybe more. 270.
No, yeah, huge. I mean, short, so. Yeah. I don't think he's 270, but I mean, if he was on stage at what, 225?
Yeah.
How tall is he? Because I saw him standing next to.
No, he was 230. He had to be over 2. He was a super heavyweight. He had to be over 225.
Oh, that's right. So maybe he was 230, 40, 50, 60. Yeah, it could be 260.
Yeah.
How tall is that Andrew Jacked? Because I saw Carlos standing next to him. I don't know how long ago it was, but it was however many months. And Andrew Jack looked like a foot taller than him. And like I thought like Carlos was maybe like 5'2" or something by that photo in the comparison. But yes, Andrew Jack's obviously really tall.
I think he's like 5'6", Carlos.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Jack must be at least like 6'2".
Yeah, I think he probably is. He probably is.
Yeah.
What do you guys see as far as Nick Walker for 2022? Are we going to see it? Is he capable? Well, let me go to you, Chris, first, because you have strong opinions. What is he capable of a top 3 Olympia placing?
Yeah, he's capable of top 3 Olympia. The only thing you need to factor in is injuries, potential injuries.
Let's assume he stays injury free.
Yeah, he's going to have his hands full with Brandon. Brandon's still like underrated. Regardless of where you had him in prejudging Brandon, he was second by a point. So he was 1 point away of leading the show going into the finals. Right. And the reason is because he deserved to be 1 point away or 1 or 2 points ahead. So he has to get by like a Brandon. And the contrast in the physique is those two physiques is just apples and oranges. And I think traditionally, the people who sit on the judging panel, myself included, I prefer like a Brandon type physique because there's enough mass there to call him almost a mass monster, but we don't think of him as a mass monster because he's put together so well.
Right.
Which means that Nick has to just be a lot bigger than last year. Because last year, he looked fantastic at the Olympia, but I don't think he compares, like, he's not, quote, as big as Brandon. He's not as big as him in the front doubles.
Is this a good strategy that he's employing, getting bigger? Because a lot of people say,
it's his only strategy. He's not going to beat him he's not going to get by Brandon unless, he's way bigger. And as fantastic as he looks, as fantastic as Nick looks, trying to get by Hardy is difficult because Hardy has really not any weaknesses, and he has a level of mature muscular density that looks different than everyone else's on the stage. That's why, because he's not that big, but he's big enough. That's why, people, see him as somebody who could win the Olympia. I don't think he can win the Olympia. But if Brandon came in off and a little bit off, and Ramy comes in a little bit off where he wasn't prejudging this year, he could get by him, technically. He does need more size. In the side shots, he looks vulnerable, Hardy. Front shots, he's phenomenal. Back shots, phenomenal. Side chest, side try, looks a little light. But yeah, I think it's a good strategy, overwhelm people with your mass.
Lee, what do you say?
Yeah, easy. I think Nick can easily be top 3 because as much as I like Hardy's physique and even Williams, I sort of maybe see William and Hardy not improving like someone like Nick and that's going to do. And I think Nick will be rewarded in those two, even if Hardy comes in looking good as he has, and so does William. I don't think they're going to get rewarded with Nick and them coming in looking better. So, yeah, I can see him easily being top 3. And I'm the same as Chris. I love Brandon's shape. Even last year, I still would have liked to see him win it. Just the shape he has and the mass he has. I just like that type. Yes, I said I like the freaks too, like Ramy, but I don't know. It's just something about Brandon standing there that I would have gone with him as the winner. But so I still think Brandon he could probably still come back and win it again. So it's going to be a good Olympia, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Even though it's in December. That's almost a year away, Dave, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure. Xavier, do you see any scenarios where Nick Walker wins the Olympia in 22?
I mean, I can see it happening just based off the fact that everyone's sort of so close at the moment. Like we're seeing even in these smaller pro shows, we're seeing guys flip-flop week to week. And I think just the whole of the bodybuilding, I suppose, top pro bodybuilding now is all pretty close. So I think, you look at Nick Walker last year, I think if he makes a few little improvements on his physique, it puts him straight into sort of challenging for that top 3. And I think the rate that he's actually been improving contest to contest, it's not even year to year. Like he'll do a comp, he did the New York Pro, but improved when he came to the Arnolds. So I think the rate he's improving, like a Brett Wilkins as well, who's making crazy improvements, I think that he can definitely challenge. And
Chris, when you look at Ramy and evaluate him, sorry, I thought he stopped talking.
Yeah, he's got the bug.
Aussies, those connections.
That's the bug.
Chris, when you look at Ramy and evaluate Ramy's, where he's at this point, in his Olympia or his bodybuilding career, is he into the second half of his career at this point? Is he still on the rise, or is he coming down, or where do you see Ramy?
I see Ramy as like running out of gas, and that's not a negative. That's just a fact that he's older than he was. His muscle is less fresh than it was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago coming on the scene. But Ramy is let's face it, he's the freak of freaks. And if he actually wanted to put it all together, he could demolish this lineup like a joke. Because he's wider than everyone. He's got everything. I mean, I sound like everyone else who's been evaluating him for 10 years. He has everything, and he won the show this year in like average condition. The night show he was like harder, but and technically he, I watched the night show and I said, Ramy's going to win. But I didn't have him win in prejudging, which is a testament to Brandon as well. But it's just, Ramy has tools that no one else has. It's like there's not much weakness there other than the lower back, which looks different than it did like 8 years ago. It looks like he tore his lower lats, or they just, they're not there. The fullness is not there like it used to be. But that's
how did that happen? Because I don't think there's no way he symmetrically tore both lats, right? Lee, what do you think? Or Chris, what do you think's going on with those lower lats?
I don't know. If you look at Jay in the early years, he had the craziest lower lats with crazy striations in the lower lats.
Right.
And then, even 09, when he looked fabulous in 10, he didn't have the lower lats really.
And what makes those go away?
I don't know. Coleman too had the crazy lower lats.
One miss.
Do you want the scientific?
No, one. God, that's like saying, on the frontal bicep, he only had one bicep.
Since you asked me, Dave, I'll give you the scientific answer.
Okay, give me the science of that, Lee.
I have studied this phenomenon, right? What happens is, as you're younger, right, your lats hang down. They hang like this. And as you get older, what happens is your lats go up and your balls drop. So it's got to balance out. When you're a young bodybuilder, your balls are up high because they're shrunk and your lats hang low. As you get older, the balls start to sag, which pulls your lats up. There you go. I did lots of research into this.
The fact that you actually came up with that in your head is very disturbing to me. I have to admit.
Now you know what? I need a Cpap machine. My brain doesn't get oxygen. I need the Cpap machine.
Dave, what Xavier forgets is that Nick Walker in his pro debut looked like, honestly, he looked like a really good second tier pro. Right. That was like right after he won the North America.
He just turned pro, right?
Oh, he's a second tier guy. And then like 9 months later, it's like, oh, well, looks like he's going to be a first tier guy. And then like 4 months later at the Arnold, he's like, oh, he's like a top guy.
Right.
That's all within the span of nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes
people make tremendous improvements like that, and then it doesn't last.
This is the whole thing. It's hard to, that trajectory is straight up, and how long can it go straight up? Obviously, he believes, I'm sure, in his training, like it's going to go, straight up forever. Which it just you make these everyone in their bodybuilding career makes this massive jump. Jay did it, Coleman did it. Right. There's like this period where they just go from like, Nick Walker's done it. But there's not like a double jump. You know what I mean?
Do you think except for Dexter, do you think people like stop training a certain way and that's why maybe the lats disappear or the legs disappear? Like, in other words, when you're young, you're doing the bent rows, you're doing all the deadlifts, and then all of a sudden you're like, I got the mass, I can kind of do the machines. You start doing more of the hammer strength stuff and all the other little machines where you can kind of kind of comfortably sit in the machine, and maybe you're not activating those all that muscle the way you were before.
I don't
Is that
know.
a possibility?
I don't think so because I mean, look what happened to Jay. I mean, he's not like a dummy by any means. Like if
he's big enough,
or Ramy, if Ramy had that criticism even the year he won that like his lower back was not like it used to be. I mean, obviously he would have addressed it if he knew how to address it, but
right.
It's one of these questions. It's like when your waist gets wider as a bodybuilder, you try to go into denial like, no, it's not. Your waist is wider.
Yeah,
it happens to everybody.
Yeah. Maybe your mindset can have something to do with it, because like I said, maybe as you said, it could be you squat heavy to keep your leg massed, and as you get a bit older, you're like, do I really need to squat heavy? I'll try doing this, but the thing is too, in those years where you make those gains, I think you'll find that's when the guys are at their hungriest, where they want to excel to win pro shows, they want to be number one, and after a while, if you might compete, and after a while you're like, you know what, it ain't gonna happen, or this is where I'm going to be. That fire might just fizzle out a bit, so that whole mindset can go from wanting to be the greatest to I'm happy where I am, so I'll just proceed.
Ramy's Mr. Olympia, though. Lee, you think Ronnie and Jay and Dorian didn't seem like they got bored as Mr. Olympia.
You're picking like nothing against Ramy. I'm sure he trains hard, but when you're looking at Jay or Dorian or Ronnie, you're talking about completely different mindsets there to Ramy's mindset. So it's like it's.
Well, Jay, I mean, we all learned that Ramy took the whole year off from training, and
that could do it right there.
But talk about mindset is, Jay would get second in the Olympia to Coleman, and be on the gym on Sunday.
Right.
And you got to remember, Ramy has 2 wives. Now, what does that do to your mind? So that can also just. One wife was hard enough to get ready for a contest. Imagine having 2.
Do we know if that's actually an accurate statement?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Don't start shit again.
You're the one who goes through all the gossip. You're TMZ. What did you hear about that? Is Ramy?
I have no idea about that, if that's true or not. I don't know if it's a movie or what it is. But
you do the research on that stuff, though, Xavier. I know you do.
Okay, I'll try to find that one. But the thing that worries me about the thing that worries me about Ramy is that Dennis James even mentioned in, I think it was one of his podcasts that he does, the Menace podcast, and he was saying about how Ramy almost quit last year. He said he almost quit bodybuilding for good. So it sounds like that Ramy is maybe a little bit more vulnerable to the mind game side of things, and whatever personal issue he had going on caused him so much to almost quit after winning the Mr. Olympia once. You know what I mean? So that's sort of what concerns me.
Let me ask you this question. What would Ramy do if you're at the top of the bodybuilding world, you're Mr. Olympia, right? Like what would be the reason Ramy would quit at this point? I mean, it's not like he's a doctor and he's doing this on the side and he's like, you know what, I'm going to go back to the hospital and practice.
I think it could just be people's mindsets, because really, if you think about it, if you've got a great personality, you've got a great fan base, and that you could actually win one Mr. Olympia and market that for the rest of your life and be fantastic. So, and I'm the type of person too. When I won at the pro shows I won, people said, "Would you go back and do the show again?" I'm like, no, because I want to go out a winner of every show. I don't want to get. Because say you win the Arnold Classic 3 times in a row, you go back for the 4th, you get second. No one remembers those ones you won. Oh yeah, he got second last year. So you got to quit while you're on top. So if I won the Olympia, I'm going out a winner. I'm not coming back. It's like I'm gone. Go out on top. Just
it's
win.
like gambling, though, Lee. You always think you got one more left in you, even when
I don't find that, because I always find too. I know some people like Jay did it because he went back. Dorian did it. I'm the type too. If I got my mind set on accomplishing something and I've accomplished it, it's like I'm looking for something new. Yes, you could put your mind saying go back to win again will be something new, but it's like, hey, I've done that. I need another challenge now. So it'd be just like going over the same thing again.
Well, Ian Valier said about like Chris Bumstead, and Chris Bumstead sort of said it a bit himself, that it's hard to stay motivated when you're at the top. And like he's such a, everyone considers him the shoe-in winner every year. I imagine it'd be sort of, as easy as it is for someone who's, an amateur or whatever to say, oh, you're Mr. Olympia, that'd be easy to train for. But when you're actually there, it becomes, I suppose, for them very normal. And if you're winning Olympia after Olympia, maybe eventually it gets to a point where you're not as motivated as the guys going after you.
Sure.
By definition, you can't be.
Yeah. Well, Dorian always told me he was always like trying to get bigger and better and find new ways of activating new muscle and stuff like that. So he was really into he seem like he ever lost enthusiasm. You know, he even wanted to come back, you know, in '98. He couldn't do it. I mean, his body wouldn't.
You lived in England, Dave. There was nothing else to do. Have you seen,
But he
you've
was
been to
smart. He got
Birmingham. You've been to
everybody.
Birmingham. There ain't much. There's no Disneyland in Birmingham, Dave, or Venice Beach. You just got to go to the gym and train. That's
Yeah,
it.
but you know, Dorian was making money, but yet he was still training at that dungeon gym that he owned. So obviously, he still was motivated to be a great bodybuilder. You know, but he was younger too. So maybe, you know, what did he retire at 33 or something like that? I think.
Yeah, something like that, I think.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean,
I suppose he
was
kept
still
that same environment that he came up in, which I think is probably smart, because a lot of people, once they start to have success, they buy into their own hype, and they you know, start to buy all the
Get
luxuries
lazy a
and
bit.
yeah. And it's hard when, like, for Chris Bumstead especially, this dude's making plenty of money, so he hasn't got to worry about money whatsoever. That you know, to go to compete at the Olympia to get like a $40,000 check or something for him, that would be like nothing.
And money's a big motivator, because I remember when I was young and you get that little contract from Weeder, you always trained harder to improve, to get a bigger contract or to win a show and that. You know, like I said, then when you do get a bit of money put aside, you're like, you know what? If I don't do well at this show, that's okay. I got a bit of money. So the money, you're not really striving to go after it then. You sort of get that little bit comfortable. You're like, yeah, I'm good. I got a contract for another 4 years. Even if I don't do too well, I'm okay. So
I really believe if you would lock guys into like a dungeon gym that only had free weights, you know, and keep them away from the machines, I guarantee the physiques would look better. I really do. I think what happens is people get a lot of muscle on them, and they're like, people start telling them, oh, you don't need to squat anymore. You don't need to deadlift. Just use these. You got to isolate and squeeze. You know, the old Charles Glass, you know.
machines and social media, keep them away from those two, and you'll see great physiques again, especially social media. Keep them away from that. You'll see great physiques.
But don't you think, Chris, if you got, like, you know, the top level bodybuilders and just said, look, you could only train on free weights, don't you think that the physiques would be better? I think that's why, you know, sometimes people talk about the 80s, 70s, and 80s. The physiques had like a different look. I think it's because they didn't have any machines really. It was only free weights back then.
Dave, I don't. You know what? I don't believe that machines in any way, shape, or form can produce the same look that free weights, barbells, and dumbbells do. I don't need to hear from an exercise physiologist, an exercise scientist, a guy, you know, weighs 110, you know, which is about what I weigh right now, you know, in a white lab suit. You should never get away from free weights. Absolutely. Ever. You know, I told someone today, they said, what do I do for back? I said, you know, go tomorrow and do chins. Just do chins. Just do like 30, 40 sets of chins, and you will see how sore your back is the next day. And you'll feel something different than you do with bullshit, you know, machine like you know, that's on a camber, you know, that it
comes down and around and squeezes like this.
It's not the same.
I just got back to free weights ever since I got my shoulders replaced.
You know, people complicate investing, they complicate weight training, they complicate diets and macros and this and that. The training should stay as close to free weights as possible.
And you look at the quality too.
And I don't care what anyone else says. I say, you know what? I say, it's not my opinion. You're wrong.
And even the smaller physique, when I say smaller physiques too, you class someone like even the Frank Zanes or Serge Nubret. They weren't these freaky monsters, but the muscle they had from free weights was that dense quality muscle that you just don't see today, even on the lighter competitors. But Serge Nubret and all those people, Bertil Fox, look at the thickness he had, Tim Belknap, all those guys that used the basics were just freaky standing there like that. Yeah, we've got freaks today. Look at Ramy. Yes, he's a freak. But that mass Ramy has, look at someone like Bertil Fox. Bertil Fox's density and what those guys had just from those basic weights. And then, like I said, yes, you got the lighter guys. Look at Serge Nubret. If he stood beside them, he just had slabs of quality muscle hanging off him just from using all the basics. And I've always said what Chris said. If you stick to the basics, you can't go wrong, because we've got so many gurus online, these scientists, that they say, well, the scientists say this and that. They go into the macros. I said, when it comes to dieting, training, everything, if you stick to the basics, you can't go wrong. Stop trying to overcomplicate something that is really pretty basic. You're just overthinking it.
Here's a good chat. Here's a good experiment. Take someone who's really never worked out, put them on a hammer strength machine or any kind of pressing machine, and they'll
they'll be able to do a certain amount of weight given their strength. Put them on a bench press, an incline bench press, and put a bar, even with lightweight on it. You'll see that bar going all over the place. They won't even be able to balance it because there's so many more muscles involved in doing a bench press that's free weights versus a machine, because the stabilization aspect of it adds another dimension. That's why the look of the body is so much different than when
how many times do you even see a young kid at the gym? He'll be doing like pull downs, and he's pulling down 300 pounds on the lat, pulled out 300 pounds.
He can't do any chins. He can't do any chins, dude.
Yeah, I've got to say, he weighs
He
about
can't do 5 of them.
Yeah, he weighs about 190 pounds. He can't pull himself up, but he's pulling 300 pounds down like this.
You know who really impressed me? And even though he's a complete nutcase, Big Sean Allen. I was at Bev's gym with him once, filming him. He did like 15 good pull-ups. He had to weigh 300, pounds, the guy, and he grabbed it wide, the bar wide, and he did really good quality, pull, and he had a great back,
Well,
and that's a big guy,
Like back in the 80s, early 90s in Australia, our best machine would probably be in a lat pull down or a seated row. That was probably like a machine. So trust me, when I got to Golds, because I was doing barbell rows here, squats here, when I walked into Golds, and I'm like, fuck, they got a machine for that? I started doing all these machines for like 6 months, and I'm like, oh, this one feels good. And then after 6 months, I went to go back to barbell rows. I put one plate on. I'm like shaking my back like this. I'm thinking, fucking hell, this is terrible. But because I was forced to do the basics. But then when you get those machines, you think this is great. But then when you go back to the basics, like you said, your stabilizers are off. Everything just feels crap.
Dude, what is the statistical chances that two of the wackiest physiques ever, Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman, trained in shit boxes?
Yeah.
With basics.
Look at Ian Valier and Chris Bumstead. They got stuck training in their own home gym for a year or a year and a half because of COVID and the lockdowns in Canada. I think their physiques both improved tremendously.
Yeah,
I think it's from using a lot of free weights at home.
Well, I've always told people too, look at those books like Arnold's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. There was that one that came out Rob Kennedy did with was it Pro Style Bodybuilding, had Tom Platz on the cover.
Yeah.
When you get these books, I love looking at them, and you look back through them and see some of the basic exercises that you've forgotten about. You're like, oh shit, that exercise, and you go do it. Yeah. It's like you get the best feeling. Like, shit, I forgot all about this movement, and it hits the muscle. It's just something so basic that you could do at home with a dumbbell or a barbell.
Lee, what's a Zotman curl? You know what a Zotman curl is?
Wasn't that the weird one you're hanging over the bench or something? Wasn't it? Where
isn't when you go up?
Press? What was it?
You go up like that, and then you go like that or something. When you curl,
like this, like a press over.
I don't do that crap.
Put the dumbbells like this and push them up like that. I think, right? Isn't that a Zotman?
That's an Arnold press, isn't it?
That's Arnold press. That one.
An Arnold press.
Oh, that's an Arnold press.
Yeah.
What's a
Zotman? I can't multi
curl.
The one where you curl up like just a normal curl with a dumbbell, right, and then you turn your hand and then you go down the opposite way.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, like that. I can't multitask. I can't just do one thing at a time, Dave. It's just.
No, but it's a we're making fun of it, but it really is true. I think I tell guys all the time. I see these guys who are trying to get their legs bigger, and I'm like, I make like a lot of my clients send me videos now of them training because I'm convinced that the training is what's not working. It's not because they're eating the food, they're taking the supplements and the drugs. I'm like, something's not working here, and I'm looking at them. They're showing me videos of them squatting on a Smith machine. The Smith machine. Movement, it looks like a squat, but the Smith machine does all the work of stabilizing that weight. You're just basically just pushing the thing up. You're not having to balance it. There's nothing. You're losing so much of the movement. Now, I understand if you have an injury, okay, and you have to you have to kind of like figure out a way to get the movement done. But if you don't have an injury and you want to build your legs, you got to squat. You cannot squat on a Smith machine and get the same thing out of it. Just like you can't use that squat machine. They stabilize the weight for you. You're losing 50% of the movement.
I agree with you. You're losing the intangible, Dave, that it produces a different look. Yeah. Yeah.
Dave, this is something totally off topic, but have you ever heard of ceremonial cacao?
Yeah.
That's too far off topic.
Actually,
A ceremonial cow, did you say? Is that what you
ceremony cacao,
Cacao.
like the cacao. I used to sell.
said?
Yeah, it's
Cacao.
I used to
Dave
sell
used to have the
heirloom.
bars.
You ever hear of heirloom cacao?
I haven't, no. But I tried ceremonial cacao last night, and it's like it's meant to give you like almost like a little bit of a psychedelic effect, but not
Really?
extreme when you take a huge dose of it. Yeah. So I took the dosage is something like 45 grams, something like that, of like this cacao, and you have it in like a drink, and it's like thick. It's like you're eating chocolate almost, but it's funny. It made me feel sort of weird, but I thought you might know something about it because you've tried like ayahuasca. And
I haven't heard. No, it's what's in it. I want to know what's in it. Let me see if I
Did
can
you
look it up.
see any unicorns or
I
anything?
don't even know. I haven't even looked into it yet, so that's why I'm asking you because I tried it
You
last
didn't look
night.
into it, but yet you took it. Who gave it to
Yeah,
you?
of course. It was at my kid's mum's house. So
I took LSD once, never again. One trip on LSD.
I never have.
Lee, LSD is for like guys in the 60s. Like, no one takes LSD
Mate.
anymore.
Mate, all
I feel like it's
saw
making a
was
comeback.
Spider webs.
Yeah?
These spider
Probably
webs were glowing. Spider webs are glowing. The floor's coming up, and then I like go to the toilet, and then I'm off to save the universe another minute later, and then I go to the toilet again. I yell out to my wife, "Guess what?" She goes, "What?" I said, "My spirit animal's a wolf." She's like, "How do you know?" I said, "There's a wolf in the toilet talking to me." All I can see is this big wolf looking out the toilet bowl at me. This went on for 7 fucking hours. I'm never touching LSD.
7 hours. Oh my god.
Oh, it
Never
sounds like a
again.
nightmare.
How could a little piece of cardboard like this big under your tongue make all that shit happen? Fuck.
That's crazy.
Where do you get this stuff? I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, it looks like it has some kind of like they ferment the cacao and they make a paste out of it. And
Yeah.
Sounds
So
nice.
I had it just in the powder form, and I just put it in basically just made like a drink out of it.
Can you buy
but I've heard
is
of
it
people.
legal?
I got Islander friends that drink.
Sorry, you just cut out a bit. What'd you say?
Oh, I said, is it legal to buy the stuff?
He didn't buy it. Someone gave it to him.
Yeah.
I'm just
Don't-
wondering.
Yeah.
Don't say
You
anything.
can buy it legally. Sorry, you just cut out for a second. But you can buy it legally and everything. So I said, I was like, how don't more people know about this? Like, because most people are looking for this sort of stuff like illegally. So it's like, okay, well, if you can get something legal, but it wasn't like taking mushrooms.
This is a pitch by Xavier. He's going to be selling it tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I wonder where you get it. It's unbelievable.
I want to know if it's legal. Maybe I'll sell it, Chris, if it's legal.
So I felt like I was actually quite tired at the time. So I felt like sort of tired going into it. So I sometimes I'll doze off and like sort of have these little daydream sorts of things. So I was sort of a little bit like that, but I didn't know how much was down to the ceremonial cacao and how much was just to that. But then I had a little bit of weed, so I don't know what was doing what really in the end. But
The weed.
But I felt great.
And then after
Might
the
be
weed did it
exacerbating.
kick, after the weed did it kick, I had a shot of heroin just to just to price it off.
I felt something at that stage, but no, I feel good though.
Did you have a spiritual experience from it?
No, unfortunately not. That's what I want to have. I actually, you've tried ayahuasca, hey Dave?
Yeah, do the ayahuasca.
Yes.
You'll definitely have one from that. Yeah.
Well, I tried DMT, and that was pretty scary, terrifying.
Oh yeah, that's the active chemical. But ayahuasca has other stuff in it too. So
Yeah, I'd like to try that, but I think I got so scared off the DMT thing that it's just petrified me to do that. You know what I mean? But I think I'll do it eventually.
What happened when you did the tea?
Well, I wasn't ready for it because I tried it a few times, but I was just trying to do it. Like, I think the way I was doing it wasn't the most efficient way to do it. So I was only getting like a little tiny bit at a time. And I just see like, the doorway would open up more. And I'm like, whoa. And then we just had like YouTube videos playing of like sort of like trippy sort of colors and all that sort of stuff. So that became really vivid. And I'm sitting there, but it only lasts like 2 minutes. I'd be out of it. I'm like, okay. So then I actually once I went to do it and I put like a little bit of weed and I'll sit it on the top. So I just cook the weed and then that will heat it because you're not meant to really burn it. And I did that and I wasn't expecting to have that experience where you lose total control. But yeah, I just literally just like my mind just crossed over. I mean, I couldn't remember parts of it, but it was terrifying. I felt like I was falling into the earth. Like it was like when I was looking at my partner.
Sounds great.
I was coming back.
Lee, I was just going to say, sounds like a blast.
You're not supposed to really do it like in your house, like you're dropping like you're smoking a joint or something like that. You're supposed to do it like in a ceremonial like situation where it's in control.
Do it in public. It'll be much more fun, Dave.
I was going to say, do it under a broadcast, desktop.bodybuilding. You'd probably get more hits than interviewing.
Chris, when I did ayahuasca,
I reckon Chris should do it next time Chris does an Olympia report. I reckon Chris should do it for the Olympia wrap-up show. And
When I did
open up.
ayahuasca, I did it in California in this mansion. These people had this mansion, and it was you had to pay like $200, you know, or $100 or something like that. I went in there, I did it, and in the mansion there was all these like they have helpers, and the helpers are dressed like angels in white. And I didn't really know why, but they're like, you know, in case people, because you like Xavier, you can go crazy. You know, some people are mentally nuts, and so you put this stuff in, it opens up their brain, and they freak out. So, you know, I'm doing I drink the ayahuasca thing, and then, you know, you're waiting around and, you know, trying to meditate or whatever, breathe. And then all of a sudden it hits you. And it's like, for me, I feel like I had like, you know, you ever see Jack and the Beanstalk when the beanstalk grows? It was growing down my throat. That's what it was. That's what I felt like. This plant was like actually completely engulfing me. And these angels these girls that were dressed in white looked like real angels when it was happening. And it was like you had like a lot of like, you know, out of body type experiences where you're seeing yourself like from a different perspective. That's what I can.
I hate to break it to you, Dave. Yeah. You're at Harvey Weinstein's house in Hollywood Hills, and that thing going down your throat wasn't a beanstalk. Bill Cosby was in the cupboard, mate.
I was on Epstein Island, but I was only getting a massage, right, Chris? I was only getting a massage on Epstein Island. So yeah, I mean,
Alan has when asked Dave, your boy Alan Dershowitz, he has the most quote perfect sex life. when he was accused of getting a massage by Epstein's like 14-year-old daughter, you know,
unbelievable.
Anyway. That just sounds terrible. All that stuff. Like I said, I don't like that.
You dropped LSD. What'd you think you were like?
I only ever did it once. I did it once because I didn't know. And here's the thing, though: the person that gave it to my wife to take said it's pretty strong. Only do half. So my wife hands it to me. I say to my wife, "Aren't we meant to do half?" And she goes, "What's the worst that can happen?" Well, let me fucking tell you what the worst can happen is 7 hours later, I'm still off fucking fighting spaceships in outer space and bullshit.
I bet it felt longer than 7 hours too. I bet it felt like
she actually had to call up the person. They go, "Okay, Lee's over here. He's tripping out. His muscles are all trembling. I'm having spasms. Right. How long is this going to go for?" They're like, "How long has it been out?" He's like, 3-4 hours. Oh, he's got a few more hours to go. And I heard that. I went, "Oh, fucking hell." Yeah. And I'm just laying there. I'm just like, never again. That was terrible.
Yeah. My worst experience, I had a client once, and he was very much into, you know, like all natural stuff, but liked his weed. And he said, "I've got some of this oil." He's like, "Do you want some?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, well, whatever." He's like, "I'll give you enough for you and your partner to have like half and half, and you know, you sort of just have
Xavier
a good time
will
on
try
that."
anything. He's like Mikey from the life cereal commercials back in the day.
It sounds bad, but the thing was, I saw this guy. He said, "Oh, I'm going for a drive down south," which is, you know, 3 hours, 4 hours down south, and he's like, you know, basically like, "I'll just have a little bit before I go." I'm like, "Oh, I must just relax or whatever." So I saw how much he had. Like he put it in his mouth. I'm like, "Cool." And I was like, "Okay, well," one day I was like, I'll just have like maybe like a third of what he had. So I did that, started driving, and then you guys there?
Yeah.
Why anyone would try to drive after doing something like that? Like,
sorry,
would you stay home?
What'd you say?
Really know it was going to happen?
Well, no, it was such. I thought it was such a small amount. It was like about a tenth of what he gave me. So he said have about half.
What happened? What did you feel?
So I was driving, I got like 5 minutes into driving, and then I just all of a sudden I'm like, just felt something, and then I blinked, I just blinked, and I'm like, I can feel every crease around my eyes, and I'm going like this. I'm just like going, nah, this isn't right. And it was like within 1 minute, it started to hit me really hard. So I just pulled into a car park straight away, pulled out my phone, took a photo of where I was, and said to my partner, I said, "I'm at this beach. I'm like, just a heads up, I had a little bit of that oil, and I don't know what's going to happen." And she said, "Go across the road and get some orange juice because that like it helps for THC, like reduces the THC or whatever." And I'm like, "No, I'll stay here." Like my texts were like, I was just paranoid. And then because it was in front of like a little park, like, so it's like the beach, and then you got a little park, and then you got a bunch of car parks. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm finding it very hard to move any part of my body. So I'm like I just put my chair back, laid back, and I went. My phone was sitting right there, and just like right in the console next to me. And I'm going like, I get a text message. I'm like, "I'll get it in 10 minutes. I just need to like rest and get my energy to grab my phone." So I grab my phone, and then I'm doing like this, like one letter at a time. like taking I would take like 5 minutes to send like 2 lines of text.
Chris, I
And I was
that
just texting her,
when
and
I'm
she-
trying to finish my emails up. I'm so
Wait,
tired.
what is your expectation? So it sounds like it's not a good experience. So your expectation is what, Xavier?
So my expectation
I'm
was
try
like,
this oil that I don't even know what it is, so that I can.
Sounds
feel
like
it.
he's on ketamine, I think,
well, I was expecting just to get not even get high off it, because I feel like when you have like the tiniest bit of weed, you don't really get high, you just get more creative. And so I'm like, okay, I'll have a little bit of that, go down there, and I'll still be able to work and stuff, and won't really affect me.
You just think you're more creative, but go ahead.
Yeah. But it just
how long did that last?
Yeah, just like 7. So basically after that, I started to get paranoid that the people in front of me on the lawn playing with their kids thought I was like a child molester or something. So I was like, oh my God, they're going to bash me. And then I started to hallucinate a bit. So I started to hear them saying, let's pull him out of the car and beat the shit out of him. And I'm going, lock everything. And I'm like laying there like paranoid. And it was, I don't know how much it was in Fahrenheit, but it was probably like 35-degree day. I had like no aircon on. I'm like laying in my car. And so I was messaging my partner at the time, and she was like, oh, he'll be all right or whatever. And then I must have fallen asleep, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I could vomit and choke on my vomit and die here, but I need to go to sleep. I need to be asleep now. So I fell asleep, and then she came and opened my door. And I don't know how. I thought I locked it, but I mustn't have. So she opened my door, and I was just like, and I was like all white, and she's like, I'm like, thank God. And she thought I was like, I had like a stroke or something, because she's just looking at me. I'm like sweaty and just like white.
Again, this sounds like a fun time. Well,
So this is what happens, Chris. The ambulance comes to pick up Xavier, and Lee happens to be in the back because he just happened to have a sleep apnea attack that night. So they both shared a limo, not a limo. They both shared an ambulance to the hospital.
And had nitroglycerin tablets together.
Yeah.
Xavier, if you were a pro bodybuilder, you'd be searching and taking every experimental anabolic going.
No, it's funny because
That's your
I'm more into the psychedelic side of things lately, but I still haven't tried a whole bunch of stuff. I haven't tried mushrooms. I haven't tried tons of stuff.
How old are you now?
I'm 32, so I've only
He's at that perfect age, Chris. He's trying to figure out why he's here.
It's a good thing you want.
You know exactly.
I went through that.
Imagine Xavier if he had been in Venice in the 90s hanging out with Titus. Oh my God.
He would be doing that, dropping ecstasy. Exactly, yeah. Oh my God.
So I made myself sound like a massive druggie, but I'm actually not.
You're an experimental guy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's funny because you said your whole trying to figure out why you're here sort of thing and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like when I listen to James Hollingshead and Ian Valliere and then myself, we're all around that same age. And I feel like we're all thinking the same sort of thing. Because when I interviewed James, it's like we were both on the exact same wavelength in terms of thinking about life and all that sort of really heavy shit that you think about probably around this age. And it's I understand what a midlife crisis is now. I feel like I just totally get the concept.
I'm going to say you any more experimentation. Chris, tell him what life's all about, so he doesn't have to figure it out anymore.
I need the answers.
My philosophy.
I want to hear your philosophy, Lee's philosophy. Then I'm going to give you my philosophy. I discovered.
Life is really about helping other people. That's I mean you won't, because if you're not doing something to either build people up or build something up, even a business, or a combination of helping people or building a business or building a family, you got to build something, you got to leave something. Then if you can't define it, then you're always going to be searching for it. And one of the things you'll be searching for is, well, you don't know what you're searching for. So you're open-minded to using mind-altering things that you think will give you the answer.
Yeah, but in the end, they don't. I feel like.
Well, he said he's looking for the reason he's here. Simple. Call up your mum and dad and ask them. They'll say, Xavier, listen, your dad know a horny one night. He put his hand up my skirt. That's why you're here. Simple as that. Stop taking the drugs. That's why you're here. It was raining. No movies. That's it. That's why you're here. Your dad got on our night. He didn't use a condom.
On our interview, you torture me with the thought of one day my daughter's going to be at the age that she's going to be having sex with other dudes, and now you're torturing me with the image of my parents having sex.
Well,
it's very disturbing. Yeah. Lee has no daughters. He doesn't have to worry about that.
My daughter's 30 now, so she's like.
No, I've got a daughter.
I said Chris has no daughters. He doesn't have to worry.
Oh,
about
okay,
it.
yeah,
Four
nice.
sons.
Well, I've always said that. Though. It's always different with the sons because people are like, yeah, you want your son to go out and do this and do that. But then when it comes to the daughters, the father's always like, my daughter's never going to be with a man. He's never going to get married. I said, yeah, that's what I say to him. I said, yeah, you're saying that now. Remember when you were banging that teenager? That father was sitting at home saying his daughter's never going to be doing that while you're fingering her in the back of the car. I said, that's karma, mate. Someone's going to get your daughter when you're sitting at home. So, yeah, but that happens.
Xavier, what I discovered, and I did a lot of searching and a lot of, introspection type stuff, is that there is no meaning to it. It's what the meaning that you give to it. That's it. Every day you should wake up and find new meaning in what you're doing.
There's actually a good documentary on this called.
There's really no answer to that question. There's not one
actually,
reason.
Dave.
Hey, I'm here to do this. We're here.
There's a documentary. There's a documentary called Monty Python's Meaning of Life. It just explains everything.
Well, Dave, you got to get fulfillment out of your life. Right. That was my point.
Do what you love.
That connects with your point. That,
right.
You don't have to have the exact. People don't have to have the exact meaning, but they have to get some type of fulfillment out of it. And I was just saying, when you're helping others, guaranteed, even if you're not even good at it, you get some type of fulfillment out of it. Or, if you're doing, when I said building a business, that reflects on me. Like, that's what I like. So it's, you
do what you like. You're saying exactly right. Do what you like. You're doing something. If you're not doing, if you're not doing, you're just going sideways. If you're not doing something.
And do you find too, though, if you do something you love, because you just love doing it, whether it be, like I said, training people or training yourself, and you training yourself inspires others. I find if you're good at something and you have a passion for it, indirectly it helps all these other people. You could be helping people in a way that you don't even know, because you're just enjoying something that you're doing so much that pulls other people in, and they thrive off what you're doing type thing.
Just doing your channel.
So it's not even like you have to go out.
His YouTube channel, you love doing that channel, and you
absolutely,
and a lot of people get enjoyment out of it. So,
well, now we know why he's fucking high on it half the time. He's high as
no. Lee drives people nuts. That gives him pleasure, and
that's a gift.
And that's a gift, right? So if we're all out there doing what we love to do on a regular basis, and every day you have to define that what that is, because it can change from day to day. There's no one thing that you're here for, because every day you'll come up with a new thing that you're here for, because just when you think you've accomplished what you want to accomplish, now you got to find something else to do, right? So,
but they reckon too, if you don't accomplish that, or that day, some people, religions think if you don't accomplish whatever it is and you do die, you get reincarnated because you got to come back and do whatever it is you're put here to do. Some people think that too. You keep coming back to do whatever it is, whatever your purpose is. There's a good movie called A Dog's Purpose. Have you seen that movie where the dog keeps dying and it keeps coming back?
No, but it sounds like a good movie. I'll have to check it out. But no, I think that there is no reason you're here. I think that you're here to create. We're creators, and we're here to create. And once you stop creating, and I've said this, Chris and I have talked about this a lot, especially with all the deaths in our industry. Once you're done creating, like you hit a wall psychologically, you die a lot of times. And we know a lot of people that were former bodybuilders that just couldn't find new meaning in their life, and that was it. And they died very young. And I truly believe it was from that.
And you see it a lot with older people. Like when their partner dies, like then you hear 1 week later or something.
It's crazy, right? That's exactly right.
I think a lot's got to do with the mind, because how many times do you see people who can have an illness or a sickness and be told you don't have long to live, but they're so strong mentally they do fight it and go into remission. Then the other people, they say you got this long to live, you got 12 months, but after like 1 month they're dead because mentally they go, I'm going to die, I may as well die now, and they just give up and they just deteriorate that fast.
It's the mind is a strong thing, and if we apply it even to going back to the bodybuilding aspect of it, if you don't have a strong mindset and you allow the good opinion of others to really negatively influence you, you're not going to be long for this sport. You're gonna self-destruct, and you're not going to be around for a long time. The strongest minded people last the longest in this sport. Look at the best Mr. Olympias that have gone on. I mean, you say what you want about Phil Heath. The guy had a strong mindset because he won 7 Olympias. I mean, let's face it.
And he got more hate than anyone, really.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh, because when you say a strong mind, when I was younger, I used to see that Uri Geller and stuff like that. Let me tell you how many times I sat there holding the fucking fork, staring at it, trying to bend it, or putting the pen on the table with my hands like this, just staring at it.
You know why you
pen's
couldn't
gonna
bend it?
roll.
You know why you didn't bend it?
Why is that? My mind wasn't strong enough.
No, because you didn't think you could. That's why you didn't believe.
But then I'd put my hands on each side of the pen on the table and sit there for like an hour staring at this pen, trying to make the pen roll back and forth.
You know, it's the old. How come no human being, if we have the innate ability to heal ourselves, how come no one's regrown a limb? And the reason why no one's regrown a limb is because no one believes they can. So, how are you going to regrow a limb if your mind is telling you, no, it's impossible. You know, once they finally regrow a limb in the lab and someone figures out how to do it, we'll be regrowing limbs left and right. You know,
they probably have. They probably injected some sort of starfish gene into somebody, and they're growing limbs and turning colors like chameleons.
That might be a cool idea. There you go, Lee. That's a $1 billion idea. Right
oh, okay. Well, Dave, I'll just go cut my hand off tonight, and I'll sit there thinking positive that it's going to grow back.
I'll splice a starfish gene into your body. We'll inject it in. I'll put a myostatin slicer in there too. We might as well get rid of your myostatin.
You know what's really interesting? I watched a documentary on this, a true one, on cuttlefish. Have you seen cuttlefish? How they can change colors and even change like the texture. Like if they're on something smooth, they go dead smooth. If they're on something rough, they can change their skin to look really rough. But the colors they can go, these cuttlefish. It's a very interesting documentary on cuttlefish.
Well, have you seen they took a fluorescent gene out of I think it was out of a jellyfish or something like that, and they got it into the tropical fish. You know, I'm into tropical fish. They put it into several different fish, and they have glowfish now. These fish actually glow because they have the gene from this jellyfish species that glows. It's insane. They're like, look them up.
And you don't think people are doing that to people for lots of money, like these billionaires are paying people? Let's just see what happens if you put that into that person.
I guarantee it's being done. We don't even know about it.
How long ago did Molly the sheep? Was it Molly the sheep was the first cloned sheep? How long ago was that?
That was a long time ago. You remember?
You don't think someone, if you were like someone like Elon Musk and you had all that money, and you wouldn't find the top person that's into gene splicing and just pay them a wage and say, listen, regrow my own liver, regrow my own heart. I want you to try clone me. I'm sure they got it going on in some basement. Ask Jimmy, he'll know.
They must. That's where they do the flat Earth experiments, right? Look at that. Hold on. Look at that. That's a real fish. There's no like manipulation there. That fish is glowing because of the gene they put into it. It's crazy.
They found that near Fukushima.
Dave, you got to get your snakes to glow. You'll be like a
Chris, I swear to you, I already have suggested that.
That's why I know you. I know. That's why I know you, Dave.
Well,
that's why
you know what's
I
even
made
better?
that suggestion. I knew you were going to say I already thought of it.
using CRISPR technology, which is the gene editing technology where they can cut genes out of you. They've actually in animals been able to turn inject the CRISPR sequence that will cut out the melanin producing gene, and they've made albino animals from it. So the animals, they inject the gene editing, virus into this egg before it's, fertilized, and into the fishes, or I think they did it in a dog or a mouse or something like that, and they actually were able to create albinos. Imagine once they can cut that myostatin gene out by now. They have the technology to do it. And I don't know if anyone has, been a guinea pig for that, but once they do that, you're going to see muscle growth go to another level beyond what it is now. I really believe that.
Imagine how heavy people are going to be. There's going to be more deaths.
You're going to have green snakes, Dave, species snakes glowing green.
There you go. With hypermuscular.
I changed a woman once from a nice, quiet, loving girl into this psychotic, raging bitch when I told her I cheated. Man, did she change?
That's fair.
Here's the question. What percentage of bodybuilders, okay, if I had this syringe right here and I said, look, I got this gene editing, gene in here sequence, it's bound to a virus vector. If I inject this into you, it's going to intercalate itself into every cell in your body. It's going to remove the myostatin, production, which is obviously going to help. If you have no myostatin, you grow better. How many bodybuilders on the pro circuit would take that injection?
Heaps.
I said 100.
You think 100%?
once.
Well, we don't know the side effects of it, though, Chris.
Doesn't matter. Once the guy who got first, second, and third does it, then everyone. I'm serious.
You're right. I know you're right. That's the scary thing. You're right. And
Look at
I
the shit
think back
people- look at the
when I
shit
was
people
doing it,
take
I think
now.
I probably would have taken it too. That's how crazy I was.
Well, look at the shit people take now. You don't know the side effects of half the shit. Sometimes someone goes, "Hey, I got this new drug from Mexico. It does this and does
Right,
that."
but
It's like a combination of test and this mixed
but
together.
Lee,
I'll take
like,
some.
this
No,
is
Dave, it goes
ministerial
like
level.
this. No, because Dave, it would be like this. Well, I get the myostatin gene, like splicing thing, and I heard it's safe. I heard. Listen, I heard.
That'd be enough to convince many.
My
Safe
doctor friend told me it's good.
My friend's wife's brother, who's a nurse, told me, and then they'd use an anecdote. They said, I heard, Palumbo used experimentally, whatever.
I heard
Back
Ramy's
in the
on it.
day.
Yeah,
Ramy.
Okay.
That's it. Once Ramy and Hadi are on it, or they heard that Hadi is on it. My
How
friend,
many times, Chris?
my friend, my sister's married to an Iranian, and she speaks to the training partner 5 people removed from Hadi, and they said he used it.
No, Chris, seriously, when you were coming up, how many times did you hear Dorian takes this stuff?
No. Well, I reckon
Takes this stuff.
I reckon what Chris just said then, if I heard this, it's safe and that. If Fauci retires, that's your interview tape there, Chris. You can just say, this vaccine number such and such, I heard it's safe. You can take it. It's going to be great.
If you want to get bodybuilders to take the vaccine, just piggyback the
say it's
myostatin
anabolic.
thing onto
Just
it.
say it's anabolic.
Yeah. It shuts down myostatin.
Look, you're going to get this COVID vaccine, but you're going to put on 20 pounds of muscle. They'll be lined up.
Remember when the vaccine first came out, a lot of women were getting it because some women said it enlarged their breasts by 2 to 3 sizes. So you can look it up. You didn't see that story. And actually women were going out to get the vaccine because it said their breasts swelled up 2 to 3 sizes. Because men were making jokes that does it work for us on our penis? If we get it done, it's working on the women's breasts. So a lot of women went out and got it because it said it's for some reason certain women, their glands or whatever expanded and their breasts got bigger when they took the vaccine.
If they told you you'd have an out of body experience, I bet Xavier would take it, right?
I'd be all about it.
Have
It's
you
crazy
taken the
though.
vaccine?
No, I haven't. No. It's crazy how the numbers in Australia have gone through the roof in
I
New
know.
South
I'm
Wales.
shocked that you probably can't go anywhere.
No, well, my state is locked down, so you can't leave Western Australia to go to any other state at all.
Still, that's been 2 years.
Well, it wasn't like that for a bit. Like my mum was over here for a while, and then she's gone back to Tasmania now because it's like, well, when will I be able to move? You know what I mean? So it's. Right. Yeah, it sucks. So I literally cannot leave the state that I live in, and I haven't been able to for a bit now, so it's a bit crazy.
I got to tell you, I really liked your house, Xavier, in Tasmania. It was kind of.
But didn't you see when Dokovic comes to Australia now? Dokovic is still in that detention hotel because he comes here unvaxxed, and when he lands, he said, "Look, I've had the COVID before. They said I could come in." So as soon as he lands, they take him and put him into this quarantine hotel with refugees that are trying to sneak into the country. You got the number one tennis player in this hotel. They took him for questioning. Now it's like, he's coming there for the Australian Open. Well, how do you question him? Purpose of visiting Australia? What are you here for? Is he for the tennis match? And now they've got this big court case going on. It was on TV.
It's on right now.
Is it still on? Is it still going? Oh, my God.
Yeah. Apparently, Triple X video surfaced. And I'm like, how does that have any relevance?
Right.
Yeah, since he's unvaccinated,
we live in a very fucked up world, believe me. I think I might want to take some more hallucinogens if it gets any worse too.
That's what I feel like. Literally, the way the world is, it's crazy. But
do I really want to live in this world? Let me go live in the spirit world somewhere. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, it's gone to having I think in New South Wales the other day, just say it was 40 something thousand, and then they're and it recorded 6 deaths or something like that. And I'm like, you live probably 20 to 25,000 days in your life. So on average, if just any random person got it and it didn't do anything extra, then at least probably 2 of those people would have died anyway.
Didn't Melbourne got 51,000 the other day, didn't they? They beat New South Wales.
I think they had 56 today or something popped up on my phone.
56,000.
And we've got I think we've got 90 active cases. So our premier's being a Nazi, and we're we don't want anyone in or anyone out. But then he says we're opening up the borders to the other states on the 5th of February. So make sure you get vaccinated.
You guys love to lock down. When I went to Australia, Chris, if you had a piece of fucking fruit or anything that was
DNA in it, they got you at gunpoint. They think you're trying to smuggle shit into the country and poison everyone. Meanwhile, they're locked down to the point where you can't lock down anymore, and they're still getting cases and stuff. Where is it coming from? That's what I want to know.
Well, New South Wales, where I live,
Well, this
we've
is the
got
thing. We allow
50,000.
international people that have Australian citizens and stuff. It's like,
But you guys are in quarantine for 14 days coming into the. How is this stuff getting out?
well, one of my friends, he came from the UK, and I don't even know how he got away with this. He came from the UK. He's landed in Sydney and then flew from Sydney to Tasmania, and he didn't quarantine at all. Like, I'm seeing things go up on Instagram and whatnot. I'm like, he's from the UK. I'm like, how is he able to go to
I thought
two
you
different
have
states
to
in
stay in a
Australia?
hotel there. Isn't that the rule? No.
That's what I
they
thought. I don't know.
changed it.
Like, it's
Well,
weird
that is for Djokovic. Djokovic is in a hotel.
because he's not
Someone's
vaxxed.
saying rest in peace to me. All right, I'm gonna go rest in peace because I'm tired. It's like fucking 1 a.m. or 12:30 here. But Xavier, thank you for joining us today. People want to check out more of Xavier or Lee Priest's interview
Thanks for having
with Xavier. It's on Desktop Bodybuilding on
Oh,
YouTube.
yes. It's an interview, all right, that one.
Chris Aceto will be. Chris, and I wanted to just bring up. I forgot. Chris was constipated for 4 days after coming back from Mexico.
What?
How did I solve it, Dave?
Well,
Just like I
I-
said, I thought I was having a heart attack, and remember, and you told me no.
I told Chris he's just like my father. Desperate measures. He'll only listen to me in desperate measures. So what did he do? He pulled the fiberlize out and
4 scoops.
Four scoops.
Dave, and
4 scoops.
That's a lot of
my-
scoops.
my hip and lower back pain went away. That's how good
I bet
fiberlize
you're
works.
constipated. You probably have
four
shit in there
scoop-
from 1985. You probably have.
I think 4 scoops, he shit his hip and lower back out.
You know what? It's funny you say that because sometimes I've been constipated, like from after having a surgery. You know, sometimes because you're going on anesthesia and you're on pain meds, and I literally do get you get lower flank pain and like very uncomfortable, and then all of a sudden you'll go to the bathroom. It's like, oh my god, like all the pain goes away. I don't know if it's because your colon is all bound up or something, but you can definitely experience lower back pain from that, no doubt.
After I had hernia surgery, just my umbilical hernia, they said, "Oh yeah, we gave you extra of this stuff that might constipate you as well." And then, like, you're telling me not to squeeze, and you could give me stuff to constipate me. It was so many days before I actually went. It was horrible.
You got to stay on the fiber line.
So bad.
That's the key. That's the key. Fiber is the key.
Fiberlize.
Lee Priest,
Sorry, I dropped out.
please stay out of the emergency room.
Yes. I sent Jimmy a picture when I was in there last night. He sends me these messages. Lee, what's going on? And then he sends me another one. I haven't heard from you yet, Lee. He goes, is that an old picture or a new picture? Now I'm really worried.
Well, you know why? Because Jimmy and Lee are like best friends now. And so Jimmy has gone to the emergency room twice in the last 3 weeks. Lee has gone 3 times. So Lee's got him by 1 time. And the funny thing is that Jimmy is like an old Jewish grandmother. If Lee doesn't text him back within 40 seconds of his text, he's texting me and he's like, "Is Lee okay? What's wrong with Lee? He's not responding to me. I'm a little worried about him." My grandmother once, I bought these. I showed her these cans of tuna I bought. I told her I got this great deal at the supermarket. These cans of tuna were dented. They were like 25 cents a piece. I bought like 80 cans. I was at college. She called me every day for 6 times a day to see if I was dead because the dented tuna cans have botulism in them. She was convinced though. You can't eat dented cans. I said, why not? They just fell off the truck. Oh, it's botulism. It's making the can vacuum in. 6 times a day she called me.
They used to talk about that, right? With canned foods and botulism. Yeah.
They don't talk about. I don't think there's any more botulism. Ever since COVID came around, no one eats botulism anymore. That was a big thing in the 80s and 90s.
Botulism.
All right, I got to wrap this up, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us live, and thanks for the comments. And once again, as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
That's it. I don't get it from you guys. Do Aussies? You don't.
No, I was
I'd call that a
letting
one-man thing.
Chris say it. I was letting Chris say it.
Wait for me, Dave.
Let's do it again. Here we go again.
I have to say it.
1, 2,
Chris
3.
ends on the show. Chris ends
With
on
Heavy
the show.
Muscle Radio.
The
truth
hurts.
Good night, everyone.
Now they're going to say, why Lee and Xavier say it? That's what Chris is meant to say.
We're in trouble.